There is a feeling that is difficult to explain because it doesn't feel like sadness in the way people usually describe sadness, and it doesn't look like anxiety either, yet it is something that stays with you in a quiet and persistent way that is hard to ignore over time. It is not something intense or explosive, but something subtle, almost invisible, like a background noise that never fully disappears no matter what you are doing throughout your day. You wake up, you go through your routine, you complete your responsibilities, you interact with people, and from the outside everything appears normal, maybe even stable or fine. But internally, something feels off, as if there is a layer between you and your own life that you cannot fully cross. There is no strong emotion, no clear excitement, no deep sense of satisfaction, only a constant feeling that something is missing, even if you cannot define exactly what that missing piece is. You may try to ignore it, distract yourself, stay busy, or fill your time with different activities, but the feeling does not completely go away. It stays there, in the background, subtle but present, affecting the way you experience everything without being loud enough to demand immediate attention. Over time, this creates confusion because you start to question whether this is just how life feels as you grow older, or if something is actually wrong beneath the surface. You begin to wonder if maybe you are ungrateful, or if maybe you are expecting too much from life, or if something inside you has changed in a way you don't understand. And the more you think about it, the harder it becomes to find a clear answer, because nothing is obviously broken. Your life is still moving forward, your responsibilities are still being handled, and yet something feels disconnected. You are present physically, but emotionally distant from your own experiences. You are doing things, but not fully feeling them. You are living, but not deeply connected to the act of living itself. And this is what makes emptiness so confusing, because it is not loud, it is not dramatic, and it does not always come with a clear cause. It exists quietly, often unnoticed by others, and sometimes even by yourself until it has been there for a long time. But what if this feeling is not random? What if it is not meaningless? What if it is actually a signal from your mind that something deeper is happening? Because once you begin to understand where this feeling comes from, you start to realize that emptiness is not the absence of life, but the absence of connection with your own life. Most people believe that feeling empty means that something is missing in their life, something external that they haven't achieved, experienced, or found yet. They assume that if they feel this way, it must be because they lack purpose, or excitement, or relationships, or success, or something that others seem to have. But emptiness is not always about what you lack externally, and in many cases, it has very little to do with what you have or don't have in your life. In reality, emptiness is often a result of disconnection, not absence. It is not that there is nothing in your life, but that your mind is no longer fully connected to what is already there. Your brain is constantly processing information, experiences, and emotions, but modern life rarely gives you the space to process them deeply. You move from one task to another, from one distraction to the next, without ever fully engaging with the present moment. There is always something pulling your attention away, something demanding your focus, something filling the silence before you can even notice it. And because of that, your experiences become shallow. They pass through you without leaving a strong emotional impact, without creating depth, without forming a meaningful connection. Over time, this creates a subtle but powerful effect, where your life continues to move forward, but your emotional connection to it becomes weaker. You are physically present, but mentally and emotionally distant. You are participating in life, but not fully experiencing it. And when this pattern continues for long enough, it creates a sense of emptiness that is difficult to explain. Not because there is nothing in your life, but because your mind has stopped fully arriving inside it. This is why emptiness can exist even in a life that looks stable or successful from the outside, because the problem is not always the life itself, but the relationship you have with it. And if that relationship weakens, even the best circumstances can begin to feel emotionally distant. One of the biggest reasons people feel empty is because their attention is constantly being pulled away from the present moment, preventing them from fully experiencing what is happening in their life. From the moment you wake up, your mind is already engaged with something external, whether it is your phone, your responsibilities, your thoughts, or the need to immediately start doing something. There is almost no moment where your attention is completely still, where you are simply present without any form of stimulation or distraction. There is always something to watch, something to scroll, something to think about, something to plan, something to react to. And while this constant stimulation may feel normal, it has a deeper impact on how your brain processes reality. When your attention is constantly divided, your brain does not fully absorb your experiences. You go through moments, but you do not fully register them emotionally. You see things, but you do not notice them deeply. You hear things, but you do not process them in a meaningful way. You interact with life, but only on the surface. And when experiences are not fully processed, they do not create emotional depth. They pass through your mind without leaving a strong impression. Over time, this creates a sense of disconnection between you and your own life. You are present physically, but not emotionally engaged. You are doing things, but not fully experiencing them. And when this pattern continues, life begins to feel shallow, not because it lacks meaning, but because you are not fully connecting with it. This is how emptiness begins to develop, not as a sudden feeling, but as a gradual loss of depth in your everyday experiences. As your brain becomes used to constant stimulation, something subtle begins to change in the way you experience your emotions. And this change is so gradual that most people don't even notice it while it is happening. At first, it may simply feel like things are becoming more normal, more predictable, less exciting than they used to be. And you may assume that this is just a natural part of growing older or becoming more accustomed to life. But what is actually happening goes deeper than that, because your brain is constantly adapting to the level of stimulation it receives. And over time, this adaptation begins to affect your emotional sensitivity. When you are exposed to high levels of stimulation regularly, whether through social media, constant content consumption, or fast-paced environments, your brain begins to raise its baseline for what feels engaging or rewarding. This means that experiences that once felt meaningful or exciting begin to feel less intense, not because they have changed, but because your brain has changed its expectations. The same moment that once brought you joy may now feel neutral. The same activity that once felt interesting may now feel repetitive. The same environment that once felt alive may now feel emotionally flat. And because this shift happens slowly, you don't immediately recognize it as a problem. You just begin to feel less, without understanding why. This is where emptiness starts to take shape, because it is not always about feeling something negative, but about not feeling enough of anything at all. You are not overwhelmed with sadness, but you are also not deeply connected to positive emotions. Instead, you exist in a middle space where everything feels muted. And the more your brain adapts to this level of stimulation, the more it requires stronger input to produce the same emotional response. This creates a cycle where you begin to seek more stimulation, more distraction, more intensity, just to feel something again. But the more you feed that cycle, the more your baseline continues to rise, and the harder it becomes to feel satisfied by normal experiences. This is why calm moments can start to feel empty instead of peaceful. This is why quiet days can feel boring instead of restorative. This is why simple experiences can feel meaningless instead of grounding, because your brain is no longer responding to them in the same way. And over time, this creates a gap between what you expect to feel and what you actually feel. And that gap is experienced as emptiness. Not because there is nothing in your life, but because your mind has become less sensitive to it. Another reason emptiness becomes stronger over time is because you begin to lose clarity about what you actually want. And this loss of clarity creates a deeper form of disconnection that is not always easy to recognize. You continue moving forward in your life, following routines, completing responsibilities, and making decisions. But you do not always stop to question whether those things are aligned with what truly matters to you. Instead, many of your actions are driven by habit, expectation, or external structure rather than internal direction. You do what is necessary, what is expected, or what seems logical, but not always what feels meaningful. And at first, this does not seem like a problem because your life continues to function. You are still progressing, still achieving, still moving forward in a visible way. But internally, something begins to feel disconnected because movement without direction eventually loses its emotional impact. You can be busy every day, but still feel like you are going nowhere. You can achieve goals, but still feel no sense of fulfillment from reaching them. You can stay productive but still feel empty at the end of the day. This happens because your actions are no longer connected to a clear sense of purpose, and without that connection, your experiences lose their depth. Everything begins to feel repetitive, even if it is technically different. Because what creates meaning is not just what you do, but why you do it. And if that why becomes unclear, your life starts to feel like a sequence of actions rather than a direction you are consciously moving toward. This creates a sense of internal emptiness because there is no strong emotional anchor behind your decisions. You are moving, but not grounded. You are progressing, but not connected. And over time, this creates a feeling that something is missing, even if everything appears to be in place. One of the most overlooked reasons why people feel empty is because they spend too much time inside their own thoughts and not enough time fully engaging with reality as it is happening. At first, this does not seem like a problem because thinking feels productive, it feels intelligent, it feels like you are understanding your life more deeply. You analyze situations, you reflect on your past, you imagine the future, you try to understand yourself and everything around you, and in many ways, this feels like growth. But there is a point where thinking stops being a tool and starts becoming a barrier between you and your own experience. Instead of living moments directly, you begin to process them mentally while they are happening. You are not just experiencing something, you are thinking about it at the same time. You are not just talking to someone, you are analyzing how you sound, what they think, what it means, what comes next. You are not just living your day, you are narrating it in your head, evaluating it, questioning it, and trying to control it. And while this might seem like awareness, it often reduces your ability to feel the moment itself. Because your attention is no longer fully on the experience, it is divided between the experience and your thoughts about the experience. This creates a gap between you and reality, a small distance that grows over time. And that distance is what makes life feel less real, less intense, less meaningful. You are there, but not fully there. You are participating, but not deeply connected. And when this becomes your default state, your life starts to feel emotionally distant, almost like you are watching it instead of living it. This is one of the most subtle forms of disconnection, because it does not stop you from functioning. It only reduces your depth of experience. And over time, that reduction of depth turns into emptiness. Not because life has no meaning, but because you are no longer fully receiving it. Another reason why emptiness appears is because your expectations about how life should feel have slowly become unrealistic, often without you even realizing it. Many people grow up with the idea that a meaningful life should feel exciting, fulfilling, emotionally rich, and clearly purposeful most of the time. They believe that if they are on the right path, they should feel motivated, inspired, and connected on a regular basis. But real life does not work that way. Most of life is not intense. Most of life is made of normal, repetitive, quiet moments that do not feel particularly special while they are happening. And when you expect life to always feel meaningful or exciting, those normal moments begin to feel empty instead. Not because they lack value, but because they do not match your expectations. This creates a distorted perception of reality, where calm feels like boredom, where stability feels like something is missing, where peace feels like emotional absence. And over time, this distortion makes it difficult to appreciate the natural rhythm of life. Because instead of allowing normal moments to exist as they are, you compare them to an idealized version of how life should feel. And when they don't match that ideal, you interpret them as empty. This is one of the most common traps because it turns a normal experience into a negative one simply through expectation. It creates dissatisfaction without any real problem. And that dissatisfaction slowly builds into a sense of emptiness. Not because your life is lacking, but because your expectations are too high for what everyday life is supposed to feel like. Learning to see value in ordinary moments is one of the most important steps in reconnecting with your life. Because meaning is not always loud, and if you only look for it in intense experiences, you will miss most of it. At a deeper level, emptiness is often not about your life, but about your relationship with yourself. And this is something most people do not realize until the feeling becomes impossible to ignore. You can still function, still move forward, still interact with the world, but internally, you begin to lose a clear sense of who you are and how you actually feel. This disconnection does not happen suddenly, and it rarely feels dramatic at the beginning, which is why it often goes unnoticed for long periods of time. It begins in small ways, by ignoring your emotions, by pushing through discomfort, by choosing to stay busy instead of reflecting, by prioritizing what needs to be done over what needs to be felt. Over time, these small decisions create a pattern where you become more focused on functioning than on understanding yourself. You learn how to continue, but not how to check in. You learn how to respond, but not how to listen inwardly. And gradually, your inner world becomes quieter, not because there is nothing there, but because you are no longer paying attention to it. You stop asking yourself how you feel. You stop noticing what affects you emotionally. You stop recognizing what drains you or what restores you. And without that awareness, your connection to yourself weakens. This creates a strange experience where you are present in your life, but not fully connected to your own experience of it. You know what you are doing, but you don't know how you are while doing it. And that gap is where emptiness begins to grow, because meaning is not only created by what you do, but by how you feel while doing it. And if that emotional connection is missing, even meaningful things can start to feel empty. This is why people can have relationships, goals, and progress in their life, and still feel like something is missing. Because the missing piece is not always external. Sometimes, the missing piece is internal awareness, emotional connection, and a sense of presence within yourself. And until that connection begins to return, life can continue moving forward while still feeling distant and incomplete. When you feel empty, your natural instinct is to try to fill that feeling with something, because emptiness feels uncomfortable, and your mind wants to escape that discomfort as quickly as possible. So you look for ways to distract yourself, to occupy your time, to replace that feeling with something that feels more engaging or more intense. You scroll, you watch, you consume, you move from one activity to another, trying to stay mentally engaged so that the emptiness does not become too noticeable. At first, this works. Distraction can temporarily cover the feeling, making it seem like it has disappeared, but it never actually solves the problem. Because distraction does not address the cause of emptiness, it only hides it for a short period of time. And as soon as the distraction ends, the feeling returns, often stronger than before. This creates a cycle where you become more dependent on external stimulation to avoid your internal state. The more you feel empty, the more you distract yourself. And the more you distract yourself, the less you understand why you feel empty. This is how the cycle maintains itself. You are trying to fix the feeling, but the way you are trying to fix it is preventing you from understanding it. And because of that, the emptiness never fully goes away. It just becomes something you learn to avoid instead of something you learn to understand. Over time, this avoidance becomes automatic. You don't even notice when you are escaping because it has become your default response to discomfort. And this is what makes emptiness feel so persistent, because it is never fully processed, never fully understood, and never fully addressed. It is always being covered, but never resolved. At this point, it becomes important to understand something that completely changes the way you see this feeling. And that is the idea that emptiness is not random, and it is not meaningless. Even though it feels uncomfortable, even though it is difficult to explain, emptiness is often a signal that something in your life or in your mind is out of balance. It is not there to punish you. It is not there to make your life worse. It is there to show you something that you have not been able to see clearly yet. Most people try to get rid of emptiness as quickly as possible because it feels like a problem that needs to be fixed immediately. But when you treat it only as a problem, you miss the message behind it, because every time you feel empty, your mind is trying to tell you something about your current state. It may be telling you that you are disconnected from your emotions. It may be telling you that you are living in a way that no longer feels aligned with who you are. It may be telling you that you are overstimulated and underconnected. It may be telling you that you have been moving too fast without processing your experiences, or that you have been avoiding something important for too long. But if you constantly distract yourself, you never give yourself the opportunity to understand that message. You silence the signal before you can interpret it. And as a result, the feeling keeps returning because it has not been acknowledged. This is why emptiness can feel persistent, not because it is permanent, but because it has not been understood yet. Once you start seeing emptiness as a signal instead of a problem, your relationship with it begins to change. You stop trying to escape it immediately, and you start paying attention to what it might be pointing toward. and that shift alone can begin to reduce its intensity. The solution to emptiness is not to fill your life with more distractions, more activity, or more stimulation, because that approach only delays the problem without resolving it. What actually helps is something much less obvious and often much less comfortable at the beginning. It is the process of reconnecting with your own experience. This means slowing down enough to notice what you feel instead of immediately trying to change it. It means allowing moments of silence to exist without rushing to fill them. It means paying attention to your thoughts and emotions without reacting to them instantly. It means creating space between you and constant stimulation so your mind can begin to reset. This does not happen quickly, and it does not feel easy at first. Because if you are used to constant distraction, silence can feel uncomfortable, stillness can feel strange, and being alone with your thoughts can feel overwhelming. But this is part of the process, because in that space, you begin to reconnect with what you have been avoiding. You begin to notice patterns in how you think. You begin to understand what actually affects you emotionally. You begin to recognize what feels meaningful and what does not. And slowly, your emotional sensitivity begins to return. Things start to feel more real again, not because your life has changed dramatically, but because your connection to it has changed. You are no longer just moving through experiences, you are actually feeling them again. And that is what reduces emptiness at its core. Not adding more, but reconnecting with what is already there.
Emptiness is not the absence of something in your life. It is the absence of connection with your life. And once you understand that, everything begins to change. Because the solution is no longer about chasing something new. It is about reconnecting with what you already have. Your thoughts, your emotions, your experiences, your present moment. And that process does not happen instantly, but it begins the moment you stop running away from what you feel and start paying attention to it instead. Because sometimes the feeling you are trying to escape is the exact thing that is trying to guide you back to yourself.